Have you ever noticed that no matter how much time you have to finish a project, you always seem to do your absolute most brilliant work at the very last minute? You probably beat yourself up about it. Society calls it bad time management. Your teachers or bosses probably called it procrastination or laziness. But what if I told you that psychology actually reveals this behavior is a sign of a highly specialized brain type? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Selene Voss. Today we are talking about why leaving things down to the wire doesn't mean you're broken. In fact, if you relate to the things in this video, you might just be a pressure-prompted genius. Let's start with the first sign. You actually require an adrenaline spike to activate your deepest focus. Most people think of stress and pressure as purely negative things, but in psychology, there is a well-known relationship between your level of arousal and your optimal level of performance. For a lot of highly intelligent brains, regular everyday tasks just aren't stimulating enough because your mind processes information so quickly, things get boring and your brain stops releasing stimulation chemicals like dopamine. You literally need the physiological kick of a looming deadline to activate your sympathetic nervous system, which releases a rush of adrenaline to shut out the background noise and force your brain into gear. You aren't lazy. You simply have a nervous system that requires a higher level of stimulation to reach its absolute peak cognitive function. This brings us to the second sign. You intuitively manage your energy rather than your time. While the average person tries to schedule out every hour of their day in a perfectly balanced calendar, you probably find that approach completely exhausting and unnatural. Psychology explains that highly intelligent individuals naturally know their own mental peaks and fiercely protect them. You understand that sitting at a desk for 4 hours forcing yourself to work is useless if your cognitive energy just isn't there. Instead, you wait for that pressure-induced wave of energy to hit, and then you do what takes someone else 4 hours in just 45 minutes. You aren't avoiding work, you are just flowing with your own natural cognitive rhythm instead of fighting it. Moving right along to the third sign, what looks like procrastination to everyone else is actually your brain doing subconscious problem solving. People with extremely high IQs tend to think in complex layers, mentally simulating every single outcome and fixing every flaw before they even take the first physical step. To the outside world, it looks like you are just staring at a wall, zoning out, or delaying the task. But internally, your mind is running constant simulations and gathering information. You delay the actual execution of the task because your brain is strategically working through the entire problem in the background. You are literally thinking 10 moves ahead, like a game of mental chess. The sudden deadline is just the trigger that finally forces you to output the solution you've been quietly building in your head for weeks. The fourth sign is that your delay is actually driven by high IQ perfectionism. A lot of people completely misunderstand perfectionism. It doesn't come from arrogance. It actually comes from having incredible mental clarity. Intelligent people can clearly imagine the absolute ideal outcome of a project. And because you notice flaws instantly, anything less than that perfect vision feels deeply uncomfortable. This leads to delaying action because your internal standards are just so intensely high. The pressure of a last-minute deadline is actually a psychological necessity for you. It acts as the only force strong enough to override your inner perfectionist, forcing you to finally let go and just deliver the work. And finally, the fifth sign is your capacity for intense all-or-nothing hyper-focus. When that deadline finally gets close enough to trigger your survival instincts, you don't just work, you fall into a state of total immersion. When something truly matters and the pressure is on, you dive in so deeply that time practically disappears. Psychologists refer to this state as flow, a sensation where you are totally focused, experiencing a sense of inner clarity, and completely losing your normal awareness of yourself and the world around you. While other people freak out and panic under a time crunch, your brain actually thrives in it, reaching an almost ecstatic state of peak performance. It takes a massive amount of mental energy, which is why you feel so drained afterward, but it is also exactly what allows you to achieve things at the last second that other people think are completely impossible. So, if you've been carrying around guilt for your entire life because you're a chronic last-minute worker, it is time to drop the shame. You aren't broken and you aren't lazy. Your mind just operates on a completely different frequency. You don't manage time, you manage pressure. I really want to know how many of you out there work exactly like this. So drop a comment below and let me know which of these signs hit closest to home for you. And if you want real psychology that actually helps you understand how your mind works, without the fake hustle culture motivation, hit that subscribe button right now. Remember, your intelligence is a gift. You just have to learn how to work with your own wiring. I'll see you in the next video.